Welcome to building a shunting layout. This is a project that I've been doing in bite-sized chunks over a number of episodes. It's been a fun project. We built up the baseboards, put the track on, did the wiring for the layout, got it working, and then we've been adding buildings and ballast and different elements to it. We've got the entry coming in where we scratch built a retaining wall effectively, with a bridge on top, and we've got the engine shed, fuel depot this side, and then down here we've got like a goods in area where you might have a van and that will be coming in and dropping off product for a local business to pick up and so on. So this is kind of an area that we're working on at the moment, and it's something that I've really enjoyed doing so far. The big thing with model railways and all these things that we do is that it's a hobby and we want to do it in manageable steps. So for me, like, there's certain bits I could really get into, whereas at the moment I'm in between traveling around with work a little bit, so I want to do like small achievable goals to be met. So in the last episode we put the fencing up and the what effectively is the tarmac ground for the people to walk out there, and so I want to continue with that a bit more. As I've said, the next big step was like the scenics. I'm holding off a little bit on that because I want to put the other lights in and figure out where that's going, but I think easy goals are always good. You can get a bit, like I said in the last episode, a bit anxious about like, what am I doing next, and you kind of end up holding back doing anything because you're not sure what you want to do. So just do small, easier things, and then when you do have that bit of time and thinking space, you can do the next bit. So let's look a little bit more at this area that we have down here. If you didn't see the last episode, you'll obviously need to go and watch it, but I used wet and dry sandpaper for this tarmac, which I've managed to get some bits of other stuff in there whilst messing around. And then this fence is by Wooden Scenics, and then the light is from Layouts for You. So what I'd like to do is put a gravel path to here, so if they're walking off here, so build that up a little bit, and then this would be less walked on, I guess, because they're not always going to be going up there, or maybe they're going to walk on the grass. I'm thinking something like that. I'll just put basically some more ballasty, stony stuff that I've been using for here, and just super glue that, and then just sprinkle it on, and then get away with the rest. Then after that, I want to put some grass down on here, so I'm gonna sprinkle that on here. I'm not sure how far I go. I'll probably go out to a shot here where my pencil is and come over there. So that will be nice and simple. I have picked up some products that I'd like to make use of that will be going on the layout, but we need to put the bits on afterwards. So I'll show you that in a bit, and then we might use some bushes and static grass around here and just kind of build it up a little bit, make it look a bit more unkept and wild. Because I don't like waiting around, I like to use super glue quite a lot. Like I said, I travel quite a bit, so when I do have time, I'm going to use anything that allows these things to happen quickly so I can have a good time getting a model together a bit more. So we're just going to create a bit of a path for a human to walk down. So we're going to just using a tool or something, put a little bit on here just so we've got a bit of grass. We can build up this area a bit more. This area will need a bit more of a build up, so I'll add more glue and build that up there. So we'll kind of fan that out a little bit. Let's sprinkle it from a height, not too much of a height, but enough height so it doesn't come out one big dollop. Kind of creating a bit of shadow there. Okay, so that's our sand. Just adds some texture so we're not just having the woody surface. We're going to build up that area a bit more. The nice thing with the sand, it goes through the glue, and we're able to build up what seems like that surface that we're after. I'm going to try and replicate what I had before. I use like these acrylic paints by Vallejo. It's said many different ways in different areas, but I'm just going to like dab some bits on, spread some paint out, and then I can dry brush over the top of it, and yeah, it'll be fine, whatever it'll be. And remember, anything that you do, you can always come back later and make it nicer. Add a bit of water to it, so then it spreads out a bit nicer. I'm using a brush that's far too small, but I want it to blend in with what's up here, or to a certain point. But just remember, when you do some painting, normally it goes a slightly darker colour after you've done it. So I'm just going to create an R path, as we discussed before. So yeah, you can do it however you like. Maybe it'll be a completely different colour, but I like to think it's got kind of a bit of the road ballast kind of carried over. But this is kind of too much of a chocolatey colour, I think. So I can come back in with a murkier colour and go from there. And we're going to be adding some grass around it, so you'll barely see this, I think, really, by the time we're finished. More of an appropriate colour is this one called Flat Earth. I don't want to put too much paint on because it might never dry, and I've been talking about speed. So we can blotch it around. You know, you could use a sponge and just sponge all your colours down and add some inconsistencies. There's so many different ways to do things. As long as it looks nice in the end, that's the main thing. I'm not an expert painter, but I do enjoy doing it. Something peaceful about getting a paintbrush out and splodging it down. But for dry brushing, kind of get the back of something that you don't need to use too much, so get your paint on. I'm using, this is called green ochre, but it's like kind of a light shade. I get like one of my bigger brushes, which aren't so nice. I take most of it off, as you can see, not too much. And to start off, like to see if you've got enough. Obviously you can brush it against your hand, but if you've got a good judgment, you can come along and start dusting the area, and it helps kind of shares the top highlight over a few different things, and yeah, ends up all right. Maybe this is a muddy path, you know, and that's why we've got this darker colour here. We can always write some form of story. Basically, dry brushing is always kind of something that makes things look a bit chalky and kind of adds a bit of texture. So then you'll be able to, from a distance, catch with your eye that there's a textured surface there. What I want to do is look at building up a little bit of like extra dirt. I'm going to use some authentic dirt, so from my garden. So I'm going to put some super glue down here and some down here, and just going to run it around the edge of here. I've sieved out some dirt from the garden after drying it in the oven for a little while. Put some in there. And I'm going to gently shake it over the area. And it'll be the start of, oh, the scenic work, I guess. Without knocking the thing off. I'm going to use some more masking tape and mask off the areas. I don't want to have the static grass all over, so I'm going to be careful around here and the light, and then we can add the static grass to the rest of it and see how that looks. I've got one of these, this is by Wooden Scenics 2mm medium green that I'm using, and I'm starting with that just to set a base layer. I'm going to open it up. I've opened up the window because it's going to get a bit smelly, because I'm going to be using a matte varnish to do everything. So I'm going to start off by putting this grass in. So the principle of it is you put a glue, and I use matte lacquer, and the reason I do that is it behaves a bit like a glue and it dries reasonably quickly. So I'm going to basically dust it where I want it to go. Okay. The area will go shiny where we're doing it, and then I'm just going to go down the middle of this track a little bit down here, and this area will start to come together. What's going to happen is we're going to make a mess, which is fantastic. So with the static grass applicator, it's all very simple. I've got a button here which turns it on. A little bit will fire out the end when you do it, and you get your crocodile clip, which is on the other end, which is connected to it. Put that near the area that you're going to be doing the work, and all you do is you shake it and hopefully it stands up a bit for you. Did that first bit, made a little bit of progress. Kind of dries reasonably quickly with the matte lacquer. See, I clearly missed a bit there, but that's okay. We're going to use the longer grass now, which you can buy through Squires. It's by Green Scenes, which is a brand that they brought. And you can build these layers up. You know, it doesn't have to be on the first layer that you get what you want out of it. Again, turn it on. It kind of jumps out the end when you turn it on. Get a crocodile clip, put that near to where you're working on, and then give it a good shake around. Initially it will feel like it's not going on very thick, but I promise you when it starts drying and then you do a few more layers, it will look really, really good. So I've done 3 layers now. Before it goes dry, don't be afraid to knock it around a little bit so it doesn't have a complete uniform look. Don't dig your fingers right in because you'll upset it maybe a little bit too much, but it'll be enough. Just make sure I clear my path. So here, so we can be pulling that up. But you know, it gets trampled around, it gets moved by the wind and the rain. Knock it in from the edges. So it looks about right. That's coming out quite nicely, isn't it? We'll do a couple little things to finish off this scene. It's not going to be finished. I've ordered a tree from Primo Models, which will be going, I think, here. Maybe right. Using finely foliage from Woodland Scenics, you get these clumps. So as we get little twigs and things in there. And what I'm going to do, I don't think I even need to glue these because they're going to wedge underneath these. We're going to have some growths that will just sit under there. That kind of limited to how far they grow because there's always vans and things coming back in, but even so, get knocked around. So that's going to go in here, which will look about right. Try and put something down that little gap there. Don't be afraid to get some tools out to help you. Tweezers. That will go there. So what I'm doing is I put some glue down. You might have seen this when I did my bridge. And then I get lots of clump foliage, like lots and lots. And you wedge it in there, right? Let it dry, like this bit will be dry. And then we're going to tear that off, and what gets left over looks pretty good. I'd argue that we'd have some bushes. Obviously you can't see it in the view. I want to put some bushes in here, some overgrowth. So I got olive currently in this area, but this can be a different type of bush sitting in there, growing away. Put that down there. So the bits I told you about tearing away, I tear this off, take off as much as we can. You get left over. Use. It looks pretty good. It's like a minimal amount then, same as this. Yeah. Got slightly unkept look. Little twigs. It looks alright. See, I have a brush to hand so we can brush away to really see what the scene looks like. What I want to do is put some now over here. I think you get the gist, so I'm going to put that on and come back to you. So that's coming together really nicely. What I'm going to do is get some of my flock that I used earlier, sprinkle little bits in, just to take some shade, well, add some shading, because we've got quite a few light sections. So I'm going to drop little bits in here. Some of this you don't have to worry too much because we're going to come back and do a bit more in there. Okay, a bit more around here. I just want to blend this in. Got a little bit too much on the path there, so we'll just sweep it out with the brush. That should be good. If you want to lock it in, what you can use is some hairspray. Just get some hairspray from a distance, just give it light dusting. And what that will do is stop all the loose bits going places. like with hair, does a great job. From Bunter's Yard, to finish off, I've got these palettes, which is really nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some bit of super glue, touch onto the bottom, and I'm just going to tuck these into the corner. They'll sit there. Somehow they got a palette truck up there so they could do that sort of thing. So we're going to put 2 on top of each other at slight angles. Ooh. Touch my finger as well, so that can sit there. And then I'm going to put, I think, might drop something in there, but we have to use the tweezers for them. Bit of super glue. I'm going to drop one down here. No one's going to notice that they're the same, all right? So that's it down there, and I'll have another one there as well. And I think apart from that, I might just pop a little bin around, so then we can have that. So I think again, a little pile of them on top of each other. Set an angle. That should look nice then. And then the other things I got from Bunter's Yard, there's some bins which had some rubbish in. So what I was thinking of doing, get a bin, and we can put that. My thoughts is there's one up here for when they're doing stuff and there's like a bit of junk, and that can just sit here. Not that I can let it go. Something like that. Okay, that's fantastic. I've enjoyed doing it. I hope you've enjoyed watching. It's been a slightly longer than 15-minute episode. If we take a little look at this, it's coming together as a scene, isn't it? And it's like the early scenics. The rest of the layout doesn't have any scenics on yet, so I'd say this is coming together. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Big thank you to my channel members, the patrons, my subscribers, likers, commenters. I really appreciate all your support. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Take care and goodbye.